Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Apologies for being late. I was washing my hair, as was Baldy Catz, who I will now hand you over to because he's always far more sensible than me. How are you, good sir?
I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. And what he means by that is I was helping him wash his hair. We were both washing his hair. So
I sent him one half. I've got the other half here in Swansea. So.
And welcome to our the first of our guests tonight, the first of our debaters, Leo. Before we talk about tonight's debate and what we're hoping is going to happen,
it's going to happen. He's just arrived.
Oh, he has just arrived. Brilliant. Well, in that
Awesome.
case, Leo, do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll settle your opponent in?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Leo Phileas. If that's a mouthful for anybody, you can just call me Leo. I have an up-and-coming YouTube channel where I do science education, science communication, and a little bit of politics. That would be left-leaning politics, in case anybody is interested. I will be discussing topics such as astrophysics, cosmology, and quantum mechanics, and some of the more advanced aspects of them, explaining them in a palatable manner for a lay audience. The only 3 videos I have up now are mirrors of debates that I have had on the YouTube channel Modern Day Debate, which I would presume many in the audience have heard of, if not actively watched. So feel free to subscribe. The educational content should be up within the next couple of weeks.
Fantastic. And while you're here, I know we had a brief chat offline. The reason I'm asking this will become apparent to everybody tomorrow. But given that you know quite a lot about physics, can you tell me what somebody means when they say an object diffracts into the distance? What does that mean?
It means pretty much, what's your guys' policy on language use on this channel? It pretty much means fuck all. There's no meaning behind it whatsoever, because objects don't diffract. Diffraction is a property of waves, or rather an interference in waves due to the way that they're not necessarily moving through a medium. But if you have a wave and say you put a 90-degree angle in water, that wave might diffract around that corner. If you have an opening, that wave might diffract through that opening. That's just the movement of waves as a result of some sort of aperture or barrier or obstacle interfering with that wave's propagation through its medium.
Brilliant. And any Conspiracy Cat subscribers might guess where I'm going with this in tomorrow's video, and I'm sure you'll be seeing that clip again. So that is Leo. Have we got Philip in the call?
Philip is just being admitted now. Hopefully.
He's on his way. So while Philip's coming in, this is I was contacted by Philip to organise the debate on, and I think the quote was specifically proving, or his stance is that he can show God is the driving force behind everything using cosmology and logic. So Leo is our resident cosmology expert. He's introduced himself. Philip, are you there, sir? Are you there, Philip?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Philip. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Brilliant. A little bit echoey, mate. Just a little bit. Have you got watched?
Not too sure. I've got a fan on. That's if you're hearing background noise.
I think that's better now. It might have just been my headphones. Sorry, mate. Yes. So Philip has just arrived. Do you want to introduce yourself? And let us know how what brought you to want to have this debate.
Yeah. Well, my name is Philip. I'm a Christian. I'm just here to spread the truth and hoping to have a good back and forth with my interlocutor.
Amazing. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. I am right, before we go any further, neither of you sent any PowerPoints through, did you, for display? Just
I do not have a PowerPoint.
No, that's fine. It's just if you did, you'd have to email us because we can't screen share. So, Creaky, did we decide who we were going to put on first for their opening statement?
I believe it was Philip that we agreed on.
Yeah, I think we said Philip, didn't we? Because he sort of initiated the debate.
And he has also taken the affirmative. I prefer that the person, that's just my personal preference, that the person taking the affirmative position should be the one to go first.
That is absolutely cool. Yeah, so Philip, sorry we haven't had much chance to introduce you, etc. But what we'll do is we'll start off giving you the floor for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, just to give your kind of like opening statement, if you like, of what it is you believe, you know, and any evidence you've got for that. Then we'll switch over to Leo to do the same, and then we'll get back into the back and forth. How does that sound, Philip?
Yeah, that sounds good. Just really quick, am I to screen share, or do you just want me to read it out?
We can't. If you want to email agree to disagree debates, then Creaky can put it on the screen if you've got a visual or something. But we can't screen share.
Okay. Well, I did send my opener to the.
Oh, is that what you asked me to pass on to Philip? Is that what you asked me to pass on to Philip?
You mean me?
Sorry, you asked me to pass on to Leo. Sorry. I mean, I
have those moments.
Yeah, sorry. I don't. I thought I was look. I'm happy to debate anyone, but I thought I was debating someone else instead of.
You're debating Leo, not me.
Yeah, I thought I was debating the other fellow.
Yeah, Leo.
The Creaky guy.
Me.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
you're debating.
Email. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Sorry, Creaky. Yeah. No,
that's
no problem.
Yeah.
I'm the other interlocutor. Man, am I really that irrelevant to people? God, that hurts.
No, there's two different email addresses. I'll just start.
Yeah, okay. You start, mate, and I think we've got a bit of a lag, and I think I'm accidentally talking over you. So you start, I'll shut up, and you take the floor. You've got 5 minutes. Off you go.
Okay. So objects. So I take the position that God exists using empirical evidence, and I'll elaborate on this. Objects exist. The universe is then finite. Therefore, God created the universe. So using deduction, eternal or from nothing, infinite natural matter cannot move. Okay, so I'll address the next section. I'm a Christian. The full color spectrum originates from the eternal fire. Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels." So just to summarize all of that, shapes proves God, and the colors of those shapes proves the God of the Old and New Testaments. Because color originates from light, and light originates from the eternal fire, which consists of the full color spectrum. So the eternal fire is mentioned in Matthew chapter 25, verse 41. So that's my opener. I'll yield to Leo, and I'll listen to his response.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip.
And then we can have a back and forth. Yes.
Yeah, then it goes into the back and forth. We'll do the back and forth for 45 minutes, or 45, 50 minutes. And then as the debate goes on, we pick up questions from the chat, which we read out at the end. So you'll have a bit of time as well to have people from the chat question you as well. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, awesome.
Brilliant. Okay, Leo, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, and thank you to Philip for organizing this in some sense, in the sense of setting it up and agreeing to have this discussion with me. So I couldn't really disseminate much of what Philip was going to present from what I was sent about what his introduction would be. So my introduction is going to be freelance. In terms of cosmology, the standard model of cosmology as we know it today is actually no longer the Big Bang theory. Now, this doesn't mean that the Big Bang is false or that it didn't happen. It simply means that we have expounded greatly on that model since it was first conceptualized in the 1970s, I believe it was. I might be a little fuzzy on my times there, so correct me if I'm wrong there, somebody. We now call it the lambda CDM model. Lambda, the Greek letter lambda, represents the energy that we know it's there. We don't know what it is that is driving the acceleration of the expansion of space-time. And the letters C, D, and M stand for cold, dark matter. So this is, like I said, it's adding on to the Big Bang model to account for both dark matter and dark energy, which we know are there. We just don't know what they are yet. This model tells us roughly, because there are still some patches where we're a little foggy on our knowledge, because naturally humans are not privy to the time scales to understand everything that happens at cosmological scales. But from roughly 10 to the negative 13th seconds after the Big Bang, or about a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second after the Big Bang, all the way to the modern day, we have a pretty good idea of what our universe is and how it evolved, including its structure. This model also incorporates inflationary theory into it, which explains why our universe appears geometrically flat, the horizon problem, or why very, very distant parts of the universe appear to be the same. It explains the homogeneity of the universe, why the universe seems to look the same in every direction, as well as another problem known as the magnetic monopole problem, or that objects, particles, say, having only one magnetic pole rather than two, the inflation would have driven the universe apart at such a great rate that it separated those, and then they began to decay, and so they no longer exist today. The big part about the lambda CDM model that I want to point out is nowhere in it is implicated, insinuated, or even evidenced a god or anything supernatural for that matter. We also know various other things within cosmology, such as how stars form, how black holes form, at least stellar mass black holes, how neutron stars form. We know for the most part how galaxies form. And again, there's nothing supernatural, let alone a god, implicated anywhere there. So cosmology as we understand it today doesn't implicate anything supernatural. It doesn't need to implicate anything supernatural. And I do want to specify that, yes, there are gaps in our understanding of certain things that happen at cosmological scales and certain aspects of cosmological structures, but us not yet having a natural explanation doesn't mean one doesn't exist, and doesn't mean that one can insert any particular supernatural explanation that appeals to them. To do so would be, by textbook definition, an appeal to the God of the gaps fallacy, or whatever you want to insert into that gap of the gaps fallacy, which is a personal incredulity fallacy. I don't know, therefore this, which is a specified extension of the argument from ignorance. We don't know, therefore we do know it's this, which is logically fallacious and then renders one's argument invalid. So there is no reason to assume a god or anything supernatural, to reiterate, when we want to explain anything that happens on cosmological scales. At least not yet, because we haven't had the evidence for it. And I will yield my remaining time to the moderators.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, excellent, very articulate. I really enjoyed that. Creaky, thoughts? It was pretty hard. I have no idea what way this debate is going to go, so I'm looking forward to it. Guys, all we ask, and I don't know whether you've seen this show before. I don't know, there's been a bit of confusion, obviously, with what's been happening. All we ask on this show is that we don't have any over-talking, that when one person is speaking, the other person listens and waits for them to finish. And that's it. That's pretty much the only rule. And if we feel that somebody's talking for too long and hogging too much time, we'll step in and just politely ask them to sum the point up. So if we can just abide by that, that will be amazing. Philip, do you want to start the back and forth? Do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thanks. So just to reiterate my second sentence from my opener, in the false worldview of a non-theist, infinite natural matter cannot move. So that's pretty straightforward. I mean, you could test this out using two ways. You can visualize it. So it is impossible to visualize a shape in your mind without boundaries. So visualize a shape, and inside of that shape are more shapes. Therefore, a non-physical, infinite consciousness is the necessary prime mover to get shapes inside of that already existing shape. And this comports with the first sentence from my opener. I'll just reiterate it. Objects exist. The universe is then finite. Therefore, God created the universe. What is your response, Leah?
I'm a little confused here. How does there being shapes mean that the universe is finite? And when you say the universe is finite, do you mean in size? Do you mean in time? Do you mean both?
Infinite in size. So, and to address your first point, we know the universe is finite because of shapes, because an infinite, this just goes back to my second sentence, that infinite matter cannot move.
You know the universe doesn't have a shape per se, correct? It has geometry, but the universe isn't like a square or a triangle or a sphere. That's just not the case. It's got a geometry that we can measure, but it doesn't have a shape.
It's an object. It's finite.
It is an object.
There's boundaries to it.
But we don't know that the universe... I personally do believe that the universe is finite in some way in terms of its size. Most cosmologists, not all of them, but most of them would say that probably the universe is finite in the sense that if you traveled along a trajectory in space-time and theoretically, obviously, because this is somewhat of a contrived example because you have the acceleration of space-time and everything, but hypothetically speaking, theoretically speaking rather, you would end up right back where you started at some albeit extraordinarily large but finite point in the future.
Well, yeah, I mean, this just goes back to my first sentence, that because the universe is finite, God is beyond that edge.
The universe doesn't have...
And inside of... it's got a boundary to it. It's finite.
No, it doesn't have a... There isn't anything that, like, where you could say universe and then no universe. That doesn't exist.
In between stars and planets...
Is just space.
Energy and matter. No, it's hydrogen and helium.
A little bit, not much. It's mainly just the electromagnetic. Are you talking like the interstellar medium and the intergalactic medium? There's very, very, very little physical matter in those. It's there, but it's extraordinarily diffuse to the point that it's negligible. It's mainly just high energy electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah, energy and matter. So you can then visualize the universe as an object, a finite object.
No, I would say that the universe is an object. I would say that it is finite, but that doesn't mean that a god or anything supernatural exists.
Well, look, you can test this yourself.
How so? I'd be...
Well, just well, you could visualize it, but if you if you think of a brick, and inside of that brick, like you need a non-physical prime mover to get new shapes inside of that brick.
What?
I'm just using that as an analogy. The brick is the object, the finite object, and to get new particulars inside of that brick, you need a non-physical prime mover.
You do know that it is still possible that the universe could be infinite in size, right? Well, yeah, no, it's definitely possible.
There would be no movement in infinite occupied
Why not?
space. because there's no room to move.
What do you mean? If space-time were infinite, wouldn't that mean that there's an infinite amount of space for things to move in?
Hey, your assertion of space, this goes back to my second sentence. The infinite structure of natural matter in the false worldview of a non-theist is the space, because it consists of height, depth, and width.
Those are the dimensions of space. You do know that space-time is a physical fundamental thing, right? We can measure it. In fact, it has energy. It can also be warped. We call that gravity.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that your assertion of space is just the infinite structure of matter that can't do anything.
When you say infinite structure of matter, what particularly do you mean?
Infinite meaning at all places.
Well, matter isn't at all places at the same time. The fundamental fields that the particles that make up matter come from are, but the matter itself isn't.
You just contradicted yourself. The particles is the matter. Yes. So that just goes back to my second sentence. That's an infinite structure. So I'll just reiterate. In the false worldview of a non-theist,
how did you figure out that our worldview is false? It seems like you're arguing in circles here by presupposing that atheism or non-theism is false before actually having demonstrated that it's false. That's a logical fallacy, my friend.
I'm going through my second sentence.
Okay.
So I'll just reiterate. In the false worldview of a non-theist, an infinite structure of matter cannot move. It cannot move to get the Big Bang, and it cannot move to make more shapes inside of itself.
So what you're saying is that if space-time were truly infinite, things couldn't have kinetic energy?
But you've just asserted space.
What do you say assert space? What do you mean? Because we know that space, first off, it's space-time. They're connected. The special relativity tells us that. Secondly, general relativity and special relativity tells us that it is a physical thing. Like space-time is real. It's there. I'm not asserting that. That's a fact.
Yeah, but that's just my second sentence again. That an infinite structure at all places at the same time in a non-theistic worldview can't do anything.
I don't understand what you mean when you say that. The space-time being infinite doesn't somehow mean that stars can't form and that galaxies can't rotate and that planets can't move and that there can't be meteors and asteroids and comets and things like that that are in motion.
But it can't, it's stuck at zero. It's at all places at the same time. That's why I gave you those two.
At the same time.
The infinite structure of matter in that false worldview of a non-theist. I gave you two examples.
But matter isn't infinite, as far as we know.
But then, well, that's, if you say that it's not infinite, then it's then finite. And then that's when you make the assertion of space. But the space is just a matter.
No, space is, if there were no matter in space-time, there would still be space-time. In fact, we've measured the energy inherent to space-time. It's called the vacuum energy. You should look up the Casimir effect.
But that, to address that assertion, I'm assuming you're referencing a container, a vacuum container?
No, vacuum does not mean that you have to have a container. So space is a vacuum because there is no pressure as a result of gravity generally in certain parts of space. A vacuum just means you're devoid of matter and energy, at least down to a certain level. Once we get to the quantum level, obviously, you can't take away all of the energy because due to the uncertainty principle, there's always energy inherent to space-time that is in a state of constant flux. We call that's the ground state, or the 0 point energy, or the vacuum energy of space-time. Quantum fluctuations probably comes to a lot of people's minds in the audience.
Well, there you go again. You keep asserting space, but that space, and you said this earlier, is physical.
It is, yes.
So so that's just matter. So that goes back.
But space isn't matter. Matter exists in space-time. But space-time, actually, space-time could be material in the sense that there could be a particle of space-time. We don't know yet. We don't have a quantum theory of gravity to know that, and neither do you.
Everything consists of matter. So that just goes back into my second sentence, is that an infinite structure of matter, which also addresses your assertion of space, in a non-theistic worldview, it cannot move. There's no getting around it.
Really quick. I think I might. Are you arguing that? Are you trying to make more of a cosmological argument that if the universe goes back infinitely in time, then we should already kind of be at a point where nothing is happening? Is that what you're trying to do here?
We're talking about the origin
of the universe. Yeah, we don't know what that is. We can't even go back far enough to know the structure of space-time prior to 10 to the negative 13th seconds, because we can't reconcile general relativity with quantum mechanics. We don't know how space-time works at the quantum level.
Sorry, guys, I don't mean to interrupt. Well, obviously, I do mean to interrupt because I'm interrupted. But but I don't want to interrupt. Can I just clarify? Because I'm just getting a little bit confused. Can I just, Philip? Can I ask you to clarify something, and then obviously we go straight back to the debate.
Yes.
The debates that you asked for was showing that God was a driving force behind everything using cosmology. And correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to so the chat and us are all on the same page. Is your argument that because the universe has a shape, therefore it must have an intelligent designer? Is that your argument, or am I completely spaced out on that?
No, well, that's just my first sentence. That's it. But
so I'm not. So I'm not. I don't want to misrepresent it. That's the argument you're making. That's what I mean. Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah.
Cool. No, because I was just getting a bit confused. I'll pass it back to you guys then. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I'll just reiterate.
Once again, the universe itself doesn't have a shape.
But it's finite.
We don't know that it's finite. It could be, probably is, but we don't know for sure.
There's only one other option. It's in the false worldview of a non-theist. If it's not finite, then it's infinite in size.
That might be.
But if it's we wouldn't be talking if it was infinite in size.
Why not?
Because in that false worldview of a non-theist, that infinite structure can't move.
Why not?
Because it's at all places at the same time.
What is at all places at the same time?
The infinite structure.
What structure?
Of matter.
So there wouldn't be matter at literally every place in the universe. The universe was infinite. You understand that, correct?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's at all. We're addressing the very origin. So everything consists of matter.
I'd absolutely love to discuss cosmogony.
This just goes back to my second sentence again. That in a non-theistic worldview, an infinite structure of matter, it can't do anything. It's stuck at zero. So, and now I'll just go back to my first sentence. Objects exist, the universe is then finite, therefore God created the universe.
Your second premise doesn't follow from your first premise. And we also don't know if the second premise is true. There being objects. Objects are just a description of the geometric structure of something in space-time that has no bearing on the structure of space-time itself, including whether or not it's finite or infinite.
Look, you may be trying to allude. That's why I said, can I just share my opener? But look, I'll just ask you questions now to make it simple.
Okay.
So do you believe that the universe had a beginning, or is it eternal? So do you believe that the material used for the universe, do you believe that was eternal, or did it have a beginning?
Well, nobody knows the answer to that question because, as I said earlier, we don't have a description of the earliest moments of our universe to know exactly what happened. Did the universe have a beginning? Well, we don't know. Probably would be what most cosmologists would say, but we don't know. If it did, it has a beginning, but the universe having a beginning, the Big Bang would be the beginning, assuming that it is the beginning, would be the beginning of the universe in the same sense that your front door is the beginning of your house. But that your house doesn't come into existence at the front door. The whole house already exists, and the front door is sort of this front boundary or edge to the house. Likewise, the universe wouldn't physically come into existence at the Big Bang. The whole universe already exists, and this is just a boundary at one end of it. We know this because time is tenseless.
Well, you made an assertion of the Big Bang because the singularity, which is just, this goes back to my second sentence, that an infinite structure, which is just a singularity, in a non-theistic worldview, it can't move to get to the Big Bang.
Well, number one, the Big Bang isn't an assertion. We know it happened. And number two, singularities aren't physical objects. They don't actually exist. Singularities result from the mathematics describing, say, space-time, where the limits, say, in the curvature of space-time tend toward infinity. What this does is that we thereby yield infinites, meaning that the mathematics is incomplete in describing that. Singularities in the mathematics of, like, general relativity simply tell us that this is an incomplete set of mathematics. We need new mathematics, better mathematics to describe this. We don't have that yet because we don't have a quantum theory of gravity. When we get one, singularities will disappear and we will have a description of space-time at these scales.
But beyond the edge, the curvature of that singularity of matter is more material. So it's still stuck at zero. So even your assertion of gravity doesn't budge.
Well, I didn't assert
an
gravity.
Infinite structure.
I didn't assert gravity. What I explained is that singularities aren't real things. They're infinities arising in mathematics, signifying the breakdown of that mathematical description and an implication of new math that does better at describing this. Things are not infinite, at least quantitatively in reality. Infinite does not actually exist. Like, you couldn't have an infinite amount of pennies or a star that was infinitely large. Infinity is a concept. It's a mathematical concept. It's not a real thing.
You're referencing an unlimited set of numbers. Are you familiar with the diameter of a circle?
I think you mean the circumference of a circle. So yeah, the surface of, like, a ball is infinite in the sense that you can go around it and you'll never reach an edge, but those are what we call conceptual infinites. They're not literally something that is quantitatively infinite in reality. Just like the set of real numbers, it can theoretically go on forever, but there isn't physical things that actually go on forever. That's the difference between what's called an actual infinite, which is what I was talking about, and a potential infinite or a conceptual infinite, which is what you were talking about.
No, I don't know. You may be referencing pi. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am
formula?
quite
Find
familiar
out
with
there.
pi.
Yeah, pi is an irrational number
Yes, it is.
because
It's an
because
irrational
the
number because
circumference of a circle.
it can't be reduced to a
Hang on.
ratio. Thereby, it is irrational.
Yeah, it's an irrational number because the circumference of a circle is finite and is contingent on an already pre-existing outside and inside infinite. So therefore, one infinite exists. I think this is where the problem lies, is that you don't know what infinite means. You're
Yes, I do
comparing to
quite
an
well.
unlimited.
I've
You're
worked
mixing
through infinites in calculus. I know quite well what infinity is.
But you're referencing an unlimited set of numbers. That's why you draw a line in relation to pi. That's why you draw a line in between of those decimals. So the line keeps going on, and the circle is expanding into an already infinite. We can use this in relation to the Christian worldview, that circle is the universe and is expanding into God, who is outside of that circle.
Wait.
Infinite in size.
Hold on, really quick. The expansion, the universe, number one, doesn't have an edge, and number two, it isn't expanding into anything. The expansion of space-time is not. It is not to be construed as a physical object getting physically bigger in some pre-existing space. What the expansion of space-time refers to is that the geometric scale of space-time increases over sufficient enough distances. This is why the distance between the Earth and the Sun isn't getting bigger, because we're at such an insignificantly small scale that we can't measure that increase in the geometric scale of space-time. So the universe is not an object getting physically larger in some pre-existing space. There is a geometric expansion of the scale of the universe. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But you would still see something beyond the curvature of the
curvature of what?
The universe.
The universe.
The object.
The universe probably. The curvature of space-time in terms of like the structure, the geometric structure of space-time is practically flat. So the curvature is pretty much non-existent.
You mean flat like 1D? 1D space?
No, flat. So if you drew a triangle on a piece of paper sitting on a table, the lines would be perfectly straight, correct? You agree with that?
No, there'll still be depth to that triangle.
Yeah, but the point that I'm getting at is that if you draw a triangle on just a piece of paper laying on a desk or a table, the lines won't be going like this. They will be straight, right? I mean, you agree with that, correct? Okay, so if you drew a triangle on a sphere, hold on, really quick, let me finish. Say I have a ball, and I draw a triangle on it. You do realize that the lines won't be straight because of the curvature of the ball. The lines will follow that curvature. Your triangle would look more like that, and then that, versus like that. So that refers to the geometry of the object. When we talk about the universe being flat, we don't mean it's like a piece of paper. We mean its geometry is flat. This has to do with geometry. The geometry of what space-time is, not the shape of it, because again, space-time doesn't have a shape.
But the piece of paper still has depth to it, height, depth, and width. And then
which is
beyond
irrelevant to what I said.
Yes, because beyond that edge of the triangle would just be God, who was infinite in size. So to summarize, God is beyond the edge of the universe.
There is no edge to the universe. Wait, so can I ask a few questions really quick?
Yeah.
hang on. Just sorry.
Hang on. Hang on.
Can Philip just finish the? Just let Philip finish the what he was going to summarise, because I was just going to interrupt and just ask him to summarise his point. So
right on.
Sorry to interrupt. So yeah, Philip, do you just want to just summarise again, and then we'll pass it back to Leo. Off you go, mate.
Yes. So the universe is expanding.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the origin, energy / matter is colorless. So you would see this structure of energy expanding into something, and that something.
I've already explained why that's false.
Yes. No, you haven't. You just asserted space, but
I didn't
need
assert
to
anything.
just let me get to the.
I thoroughly explained what the expansion of space is.
Yeah, just let Philip.
I'm addressing
Philip
your
finish
belief
his point,
in space.
and then we can. So go on, Philip. Just finish your summary.
Yeah. I apologize.
No, you're right, mate. Seriously, it's been a very well mannered debate. I'm really enjoying it. But go on, Philip.
Yeah. So just going back to my second sentence, that the infinite structure of colorless matter, it can't do anything. So the universe is expanding and is expanding into God, who is non-physical and infinite in size. So if you were to travel to the edge, or just centimeters away from the edge of the universe, you would see God beyond that edge. It's not a difficult concept to understand.
But okay, so you said God is non-physical but infinite in size. That's an inherent contradiction. Something that isn't physical can't have a size because there's nothing there. You also said that God is sort of beyond space-time. So I wanted to ask some. I'm not even going to ask some questions. I'm just going to explain why that makes no sense. There is no such thing as outside of or beyond or above the universe. That's like saying something's north of the North Pole. You can't be outside of space, because in order for the word outside to have any applicable meaning, there has to be a space and then another object that you're outside of in that space. So essentially what you're arguing is that God is outside of space, outside of time, and not made of mass energy, which means that God exists nowhere for no amount of time and is made of nothing. My dude, that's just something that doesn't exist at all.
No, you just keep asserting space, but I'm talking about we're inside of the universe and we're looking outwards.
There is no outside of space-time.
True. Well, then that just goes back to my second sentence. That's an infinite structure. It can't move. So there's no expansion in that false worldview of a non-theist.
But you're assuming
stuck at zero.
You're assuming that the universe is an object getting physically larger. I've already explained why that's false. If you don't believe me, I invite you. It sounds like you live in either Australia or the United Kingdom. I would invite you, and I mean this genuinely, I would invite you to go to your nearest educational institution, higher educational institution, go to the Department of Physics and Astronomy, schedule a meeting with a PhD astrophysicist or cosmologist and ask them to explain what the expansion of space-time is, and they will tell you exactly what I told you. The universe is not an object getting physically, a physical object getting physically larger in some otherwise pre-existing space. The universe, the expansion of space-time, is a geometric expansion of its scale. We can represent that mathematically by the metric tensor, which would be the mathematical, tensor. Hopefully you know what a tensor is. I would assume probably not, but hopefully you do. That describes the structure of space-time. The universe is not a physical object. It doesn't have an edge. It isn't expanding into anything, and there's no such thing as outside of it. Again, the word outside implies that you have a space, number one, and then an object, number two, in that space, and that you're outside of the confines of that object in that space. So if you don't have space, then you don't have the object and you can't be outside of it. It's like saying, well, what's north of the North Pole? There's no such thing as north of the North Pole. It's just an incoherent statement. Just like to say outside of space-time makes no sense. It's incoherent. There's no such thing as outside of space-time.
Look, dude, just to refute your response there, that's like me walking into a bedroom and then saying there's a lot of empty space in this bedroom. But the bedroom...
Actually, there technically is.
Matter exists. But the bedroom exists. So your assertion of empty space is still something. So to go back to my original point is that...
Before we move on, hold on here really quick. Empty space, number one, and I'm speaking a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, God damn it, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but ignoring quantum mechanics, because that's a rabbit hole that I don't really want to go down with you, because I think it would just be a mind fuck for everybody. Atoms are 98% empty space, not really when you factor in probabilistic electron clouds, but as I'm sure many people in the audience have heard, atoms are 98% empty space. Like if we had a a basketball that represented the proton of a hydrogen atom, the electron that's orbiting it would be orbiting it at a diameter or a radius of roughly 7 miles. So that atom is pretty much just empty space. Secondly, empty space, as I explained earlier, is not actually empty because there is an energy inherent to it. We call that that's the vacuum energy. We've measured that energy. We directly measured it. As I said earlier, the Casimir effect is the measurement of that energy. It's also how we know that space-time is a physical thing.
Well, I'll just take this back to my original point, is that because I was asking you questions before, so you said that the universe, the material is eternal.
No.
So is that's...
I've never once stated that anything is eternal. I used the word tenseless. The universe is tenseless. It is a tenselessly existing, four-dimensional, at least as far as we know. There could be other dimensions, probably not, but there could be space-time block that's just there. As Carl Sagan once famously said, the universe just is. And that's all.
Yeah, that's what it means to be eternal. Yeah, no.
Eternal, I suppose, because eternal means to exist for all time. I suppose the universe is eternal in the sense that time is a feature of the universe. Therefore, if you have time, you have the universe. Therefore, at all times, there is a universe. So I guess technically you would be right. The universe is eternal.
But I'm talking about the material used for. I'm not talking about all the stars and planets being eternal. I'm talking about the origin. So, for you to say that the material is eternal, so is that structure? Is it infinite in size or is it finite in size?
We don't know. But I did. So really quick, I want to ask a question.
Hang on, you can't. Hang on, sir. Hang on. You can't say I don't know and then expect to educate me.
I'm not trying to educate you. I don't know because I get my information from the actual PhDs in this, which neither one of us are. I certainly know you're not. I'm not. They're the ones saying we don't know. But
you don't even know me, sir. Hang on. You don't even know me.
Okay, so may I ask where you received?
You're making more. No, okay. It doesn't even matter. You're making assertions even about me.
Philip, what? Just want to articulate, Philip, which assertion you've got the problem with, and we'll take it from there. What was the assertion, Philip, that you want Leo to elaborate on or provide citation for?
The infinite and finite structure, because he said that it's. I can't remember what he said. That. I'll just have to clarify. So are you saying, Leo, that the structure, the eternal structure of material, is that infinite in size or is it finite in size? There's no third option.
when you say infinite structure of material, I don't know what that phrase means. That just means that's gibberish to me.
Infinite meaning, I know
what infinite means. I don't know what infinite structure of material. I'm not saying that I don't know what the word infinite means. I know quite well what that word means. I'm talking about the whole phrase, the infinite structure of material. No material is infinite in its structure.
But to address the origin, that infinite structure would consist of all the space of height, depth, and width. You could do this in you can visualize this as well. It's either you could visualize it in your head. So you can't. It is impossible to visualize an infinite shape that has no boundaries to it. So that just I'm trying to make it simple.
Infinite wouldn't have a shape.
It wouldn't have boundaries, so that we can use that for the origin of this universe, is that in a non-theistic worldview, an infinite, meaning in all places at the same time, of natural material. It can't do anything.
Not really.
There's no movement in that.
Infinite just means unbounded, but I wanted to move past this because
hang on. No, we're not moving past this.
May I ask you? May I ask you?
Okay. Let's. Sorry, guys. I just want to just want to keep on track. We'll have one. Because obviously this is a sticking point. You want to move past it. Philip, you want to stick on it. Philip, can you? We'll just do this very, very concisely. So, Philip, if you ask directly the question that you want answering, just very, very directly, and then Leo, your answer, whatever your answer is whatever it is, and if you don't know, just say we don't know. But Philip, can you just ask that question again, please?
Yes. So if you're there at this structure, so if you're there at time zero of that infinite structure of a non-theistic worldview, you're saying, Leo, that it's not infinite, that it's finite in size. So then if you're inside of that structure of colorless energy, like what would you see in a non-theistic worldview? You would still see God even in that worldview.
So that's your point, Philip, yeah? I'll get to, so we'll take Leo's response to that. Now, you may end up having to agree to disagree on the, what do you think of that, Creaky?
Yeah,
you may end up having to agree to disagree.
Well, slipped in there.
But we'll have Leo's response, and then we'll move on to the next point. Off you go, Leo.
I don't really have a response to that because I don't know what infinite structure means. I don't. So it seems to me that he's trying to make a cosmological argument here that, well, the universe, essentially time terminates at some point in the past. Something had to instantiate the universe into existence. I've asked him if that's the argument he's making like twice, and he hasn't clarified. But I did want to ask him, essentially, are you stating that God created, essentially instantiated the universe and brought it into existence? Is that fundamentally what your claim is?
Yeah, the universe had a beginning, contingent on God.
So another question I have is, how did God create the universe?
With his consciousness. We are made in God's image.
Consciousness depends on a physical processor to generate it. But God, you're asserting that God would have existed independently of anything physical.
God is not a human. It says that in the Bible.
Yeah,
and that goes back to my opener. I've already addressed this. And because we are made in God's image, we can test this for ourselves. So we can close our eyes and visualize anything. So that explains, and because I can visualize something, that my thoughts have no boundaries. I can keep pushing. I can visualize my phone, and I can keep pushing that further and further away. It has no boundaries. So that explains his infinite size. And then his omnipotence. He can visualize anything. So look, there's no getting around that. That's just my first sentence.
Sorry, guys. I know I've been interrupting a lot tonight, and I really do apologise for it. I'm just trying to keep things on track. And both of you, you're keeping it dead civil, and I really, really appreciate that. Can I just can I just ask a question to you, Philip, that might take the debate in a slightly different direction? I don't know. We'll see. You might ignore it, but we hear what you're saying. We hear what you're saying, Philip. But do you have any evidence supported by cosmology, or you know, to actually back up your claim, or would you say in your words that it's a belief? You know, would you say it's a fact?
No, it's not
or just a belief.
It's empirical evidence. That's the first two words in my opener, that objects exist.
First sentence. Yeah.
So because objects exist, the universe is then finite. Therefore, God created the universe. So God, who is it?
Sorry, mate. Go on.
God is an infinite consciousness. He can be physical and non-physical.
And the empirical evidence you're using to infer that from, just so I'm clear, and I'll pass you back to Leo, the empirical evidence you're inferring that from is that shapes exist.
Yeah, our vessels are objects.
Brilliant. No,
because
I just wanted to clarify I was right with that.
So shapes exist, therefore God?
No, you skipped a point. Shapes exist, therefore the universe is finite.
That doesn't follow.
God created the universe.
That doesn't follow.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it doesn't. Because there are shapes doesn't mean that space-time has to be finite. In fact, the coordinate spaces that we use in both special relativity and...
Hang on, you cut out. Hang on, can you... there was a bit of noise in the background.
The coordinate spaces that we use in both special relativity and in quantum mechanics are infinite. In fact, a Hilbert space is infinite dimensional, potentially. So the fact that we can still draw shapes on them, though. So you can have shapes in an infinite manifold. The fact that shapes can exist on a manifold says nothing about the structure of the manifold at all. Like, this is, quite frankly, basic geometry.
Yeah, finite means limited in size. So the universe is expanding.
Not necessarily.
If you go if you go in the here and now, if you travel to the furthest point of matter/energy, you would see this universe expanding into God, who is infinite in size.
So you're saying that God exists?
It's not.
So you're saying God exists nowhere for no amount of time and is made of nothing, since he's outside of space, time, and matter.
Hang on, but the space is the matter.
No,
you're just asserting space.
Matter is
We're
not
talking
space.
about inside.
Space-time.
We're talking about inside.
Space-time is the physical manifold.
Well, then that
exists in. Space and matter are not the same.
Yeah, that's just the universe. The universe consists of energy and matter,
In
like
space-time,
stars and
yes.
planets, and in between of stars and planets is energy, hydrogen and helium, radiation.
Well, hydrogen and helium are matter.
So you could then visualize.
And there's not a lot of it in the interstellar and intergalactic medium, as I said earlier. It's mainly electromagnetic radiation. We know this quite well.
Yeah, it's just more energy / matter. So
well, energy and matter
you can then
are two
visualize
different things.
Hang on, sir. Yeah, they can convert. Energy converts into
mass and
you
energy.
Can then visualize. You can then visualize the universe as an object, as a singular object
yes.
expanding, and beyond that expansion is God.
Is nothing. There's no such thing as beyond the universe. Like, we're literally just going in circles.
No. Your assertion of nothing would be infinite inside. Hang on, sir. Yes, you did. Hang on, sir.
No.
Your assertion of nothing is non-physical. It's infinite in size. It's three-dimensional. So your nothing is just another name for God.
So you're saying that the universe is expanding into itself?
No, I'm saying that the universe is expanding into God, who is infinite in size.
What if God is
Because there
non-physical,
are
as you said? How can it be infinite in size? Something non-physical can't have a size because there isn't a physical thing there to have dimensions.
But light can, is an example that has no weight to it. So light can pass through matter. So therefore,
Not all matter,
God,
actually. Most matter it can't pass through because the photons interact with the electron clouds of the matter and are scattered by it. This is why we see things, because the light is being scattered off the object. Some objects, yes, some photons come through, like say glass or a clear sheet. Yeah, some of the photons can go through it, but not all of them are. That's how you can tell there's still a physical thing there.
Yeah, so
okay, Philip. So go on. What are you trying to say?
So the universe is expanding into God, who is infinite in size. That's just my first sentence.
Is God non-physical?
There's no getting around that.
Is
Philip,
God
can I ask you a
non-physical?
question?
God is.
So if God's non-physical, how can he be infinite in size when in order to have size, you have to be physical?
Sorry, guys. Can I just interject one more time?
He's not a human. Hang on. I'll address Leo's.
Yeah, go on. Finish Leo's point, then I'm just going to ask a question.
That God is infinite. He can be non-physical and physical. Like light has no weight to it.
But it's still physical.
But it has no
But
weight,
it's
so
physical.
you can pass. But that's just, I'm giving you an example.
Your example doesn't work
But God
very well.
is.
We can measure photons. We can't measure God. Photons are physical. You're saying God's not, but he still has a size, even though he's not physical. And you have to be physical to have a size, because if something's not physical, it's just there's not a there there.
But you could test this yourself when you visualize something is expanding into that consciousness.
The universe isn't expanding.
But because reality is contingent on colors,
it's not
the full color spectrum.
No,
yes,
it's not.
it is. You need to. That's the law of identity as well. You need to identify something.
No, the law of identity
to come to that
states
conclusion.
that something cannot be both A and not A. Wait, am I getting that right? I'm gonna have to Google that. Law of identity.
That's the law of excluded middle.
Yeah. I think the law of identity is that something is itself. So A is the law of identity. The universe doesn't need light to exist. Light needs the universe to exist.
While you're Googling that, sorry guys, I'm going to interrupt one time. Sorry, Philip. Sorry to speak over it. I just want to ask, it's been bugging me from all this question. I recognise your voice, Philip. I'm sure I recognise you. Do you go into Gem Panda's Discord server?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
You don't know Gem Panda is just like a member of the community. How are you aware of me? Because you emailed me. How do you know? Like, how did you know what my channel was?
I've seen you debated Standing for Truth. Standing for Truth has mentioned you.
So you're part of the Standing for Truth community. You've come from that community there.
The Standing for Truth brain trust.
I don't debate evolution or creation. I debate God in general as the prime mover. But
the reason I ask is just because your voice was very familiar of someone who I've heard do like flat Earth debates before, and I'm just wondering, I'm not trying to insult you, but I'm just wondering, are you also a flat earther?
Oh, look, it doesn't matter.
Well, I think if we're having a debate on space, just if you are, it's very interesting for me. We're not going to turn it into a flat Earth debate, but because a lot of flat Earthers obviously say space doesn't exist, it will be interesting to be listening to a flat Earther who is arguing about space and the universe as it does exist. Because obviously, if you are a flat Earther that believes space doesn't exist, it's a very strange debate to have. So that's why I was asking: are you a flat Earther? I'm guessing you are from the response.
No, hang on. I don't want to go into that, but but to address the assertion of space.
When you say assertion of space, I don't know what you mean. Like, I'm not asserting space.
You're missing.
We know space
Yeah, well, let me elaborate.
Space doesn't exist, and what does anything exist? And what does the Earth exist in if there is no space? What am I moving my hands in if space isn't real? What do all of the atoms, and then the particles that they're made of, and then the subatomic particles that they're made of, and then the quantum fields that can be excited to produce those particles, what does all that stuff exist in if there's no space?
But it's just oxygen. It's just more energy.
Wait. What?
In reference to the, hang on. But in relation to the expansion of the universe, this is where I'm refuting your assertion that the universe is expanding into God, who is infinite in size, but your assertion of space,
I don't know what that
which
means.
you claim it is nothing.
I didn't say space is nothing. I explicitly said space is a physical thing.
You would still see something beyond the edge of the universe.
There is no edge to the universe. There is no edge to the universe.
But it's expanding. So therefore,
yes, I've explained that the geometric expansion of its scale, the universe isn't a physical object getting physically larger in a pre-existing space. That's what you're asserting. That is fucking wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about. So
I get my information from PhDs in cosmology. So you saying I don't know what I'm talking about? You're directly asserting that neither does Lawrence Krauss or Sean Carroll or Leonard Susskind or Katie Mack or Ethan Siegel or anybody else who actually has a PhD in the subject and knows infinitely more than the two of us combined. So are you truly asserting that the whole of modern cosmology is wrong and somehow Philip figured it out?
There are heaps of PhDs out there, but the expansion, the object is a finite object. Finite means
we don't know
limited
that
in size.
You're assuming that before demonstrating. How do we know it? How do we know that the universe is finite?
I've already demonstrated this. This is my
you haven't.
Going back to my. So this goes back to my first sentence.
Can I just interrupt one more time? Sorry. I do apologise for keep interrupting, and I don't mean this to come across as
because I'm gonna hang on.
Go on, I don't mean to. Is this a massive wind-up? Have you been busted for being a flat earther from Gen Panda's Discord on a massive wind-up?
I don't know.
To be honest, because it was good. Right. Okay. So it's not wind-up, and you are not. And you are definitely not a flat earther on a massive wind-up.
Look, no, I know who I am, but I don't. We're not debating.
I tell you what. What would put my mind massively at rest, right? Is if you were to say 100% the Earth isn't flat because the idea of a flat Earth is stupid. If you could say that, we can move on.
The Earth is a three-dimensional object. No, the Earth is a three-dimensional object with depth.
Yeah, but
so I don't know what you. But hang on, we're not.
I think I might be able to clear this up for you, Philip. Philip, does space-time exist?
Space is what?
Space-time. Space-time exists. It's literally just yes, it does or no, it doesn't. Does space-time exist?
The universe, which consists of energy and matter.
Where does that energy and matter exist in?
And it exists in God. We are living in God's consciousness.
That's an assertion.
No, it's not. I've
You're
already
not
explained
answering.
It. It's my first
sentence. Seems like you're dodging the question because you know what you're going to reveal if you actually answer it honestly. So let me try this one more time. Does space-time exist? And if not, then what is it that you're positing is expanding?
Well, then I'll clarify something with you. Is your assertion of space, does it consist of energy and matter?
I don't know what assertion of space is. You keep saying space. It's space-time. That is one thing.
Yeah, but I'm asking you a clarifying question.
Space-time. It is a physical thing. Yes.
But it does,
yes, it is a physical thing. We've measured it.
Yeah, so that's just the universe. So
So space does
so
exist.
that just goes back to my first sentence.
Space time.
No, the energy and matter exists. Yes. So we can extrapolate that
Yes,
back.
but what?
So then
what
we
does
can then
energy
visualize.
exist in? So let me word it this way: if I gave you matter and I gave you time, but I gave you no space, where would you put it?
And can you reiterate?
If I gave you matter and I gave you time, but I gave you no space, where would you put that matter?
But you can't create things.
That's not what I asked.
Matter already
I
exists.
gave you matter. This is a contrived hypothetical. I gave you matter, but not space-time. Where are you going to put that matter?
God secures all impossibilities. So you can't assert that hypothetical.
See, and this is the thing with Christians. They don't like hypotheticals because hypotheticals are a way of revealing somebody's underlying beliefs and opinions and ideologies about things. And it seems like you don't want to reveal something, and that's why you won't grant the hypothetical.
But the matter already exists.
Yeah, where does it exist at?
In
and
the universe.
Where at in the universe?
In God.
No, well, it's either in God or it's in the universe. Which one?
The matter.
So how do we map things that exist in the universe? How would we map that?
You cut out there.
How would we map things?
I don't. Wait.
Well, look, we're going down a rabbit trail, but it's pretty simple. The universe is finite and expanding.
Well, you've asserted that. We don't know that.
No, it's because of objects.
Objects don't make space-time finite.
An infinite. My second sentence, an infinite structure of matter, it can't move.
That makes sense.
And if you, but you're, no. Yes, it does, because then you're going to respond with space. But that infinite structure in a non-theistic worldview consists of height, depth, and width. So that structure is your assertion of space.
I'm not
so it's at all
space.
places at the same time.
Space is a real thing.
Yeah, and space consists of matter and energy. So that
space,
just goes
matter and energy exist in space. They don't make up space.
That goes back to my second sentence. So you can test this yourself. Just close your eyes and visualize an infinite structure.
I can visualize a space-time that's infinite.
Yeah, so then how are you going to get more shapes inside of it?
But by putting them there.
Well, there you go. That's how God does it. So we're moving on to theology. So what proves Christianity? So to summarize, shapes proves God, and the colors proves the God of the Bible.
No.
This is my opener. Just give me time to say this, and then you can respond.
I've already heard your opener like 10 times now. You really don't need to reiterate it. You do know what colors.
No, I'm talking. No, the.
No, you don't know what colors are.
Portion. I'm talking about the second portion of my opener. So the full color spectrum.
What is the full color spectrum? What does that mean?
All the colors. So red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors.
You mean red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet?
Green is red. Green is red and blue.
No.
So red and blue.
Green is a particular wave. No, green is a particular wavelength of the electromagnetic. Like, you do realize that colors, all 4 million variants in colors, is like 10% of the full electromagnetic spectrum, right? Light is electromagnetic radiation. That has been proven. It was proven back in the 1600s. Of course, they didn't know that it was a form of radiation.
Hang on,
Isaac
sir.
Newton,
I don't know why.
I think it was. Can I finish, please? Thank you. Isaac Newton demonstrated using crystals.
Well, no,
that light can be broken
hang
into
on.
colors. So yeah, we know what light is. Light
You're
is a
trying
physical
to-
thing. Light is electromagnetic radiation. That's just a fact.
I don't know what you were. You're like talking to yourself.
No, I was talking to you.
But you're just explaining something. I already know that. So, yeah. So the full color spectrum originates from the eternal fire.
What is eternal
so
fire?
Also, hang on. The fire also consists of the full color spectrum.
No, it doesn't.
So to give you an illustration, yes,
No,
it does.
doesn't. Most fires
Yes, it does.
do not emit X-rays or gamma rays or even ultraviolet. So no, the whole of the electromagnetic spectrum is not contained within a fire.
But I'm talking about the colors. So
Yeah, colors are not.
You may not
Colors
know
are
the science
not.
behind. Hang on, sir.
I don't know the science behind what.
Behind fire. So
I know quite well the
1600
science
degrees Celsius.
behind fire. Most fires. don't
Okay,
burn
so
that
then
hot.
what temperature do you need? So then what temperature do you need to reach the color blue?
To reach the color blue, it depends on what you're burning and how you're burning it.
You
Yes,
don't
I
know.
do.
So I'll elaborate on this. It's 600 degrees to reach the color red, 1200 degrees to reach the
What?
color
What are
yellow,
you burning?
and 1400 degrees to reach the color
You
blue.
can burn certain alcohols that burn
yeah.
under 500 degrees Fahrenheit and get them to burn blue.
Guys, I
Hang
am
on, you're burning oxygen, fuel, and heat.
Sorry, guys. I am
But-
going to interrupt this point just because I did say at the beginning of the debate that we would leave time for questions from the chat. Now, I didn't put a poll out because I was an idiot. I forgot, but I'll put a community poll on the channel in a second. Maybe give you another couple of minutes. Philip, I am absolutely desperate to hear you tell me how ridiculous the notion of a flat Earth is, and how you've never heard of Gem Panda's Discord. I am desperate for you to tell me that.
Oh, well, we could talk. Look, we can talk after. I'm happy to talk one-on-one after.
So you are a flat earther then, Philip?
But just no,
The
hang
fact
on.
that you're
I'm
prepared to
just
talk about
want to
it
stay on
after
point.
the live stream indicates that you are a flat earther. So you are part of the select group of the stupidest people to walk the face of the earth.
No, I haven't made that known. I just want to stay on point. I'm talking
I don't
to
mind
Leo.
just staying on point. Do not
It's
mind.
like-
We do not mind just staying on point. What's it? You can be a flat earther and have the argument. The reason I asked, I have no problem with you being a flat earther if you want to debate the existence of God. It's not a problem. I'm not going to try and conflate the two. But the reason I ask is because I find it interesting because most flat earthers would argue that space isn't real or there's a dome, and you are here obviously quite happily having a discussion about the universe and space as if it is real, so which is not normal for a flat earther. So what I'm asking is, as a flat earther, do you find that you are happy to admit that space exists? Because if you're not happy to admit space exists, it just seems an awfully strange debate to have, to want to talk about cosmology proving the existence of God if you don't believe space exists in the first place. Do you see why I'm asking? Do you see why it's confusing?
But beyond the outer atmosphere of the Earth, it's just more energy. That's what I'm.
But where does that?
Hang on a second. What the hell has that got to do with anything Katz just said to you? I'm sorry to be blunt, but that didn't even begin to address any of the words that just came out of Katz's mouth.
No,
are you a flat earther? Yes or no? There's no option C. It's an A for yes and a B for no. Are you a flat earther?
Space.
Are you a flat earther? Are you a flat earther?
Hang on, sir. I'm not. We're not.
Are you a Philip? Are you a flat earther? It's a simple question. So simple, actually, that even a flat earther could answer it. It just requires a yes or a no. It's
nobody's saying we're going to debate it. We just want to know if you are. I mean, you can say yes, and we'll never bring it up for the rest of the question. I mean, just say yes or no.
Yeah, the Earth is a cylinder.
Is a cylinder. We got a cylinder Earth.
That's a nice change, actually. Go Phil.
It has height, depth, and width. So, but beyond the outer atmosphere, it's just more energy.
What is that energy
to address?
I can't
contains
see
in
what
God.
that's
That's
got to do with
but it's not though. It exists in space-time.
But the space is just energy.
No. Space has energy. Space is not energy.
Yeah, God is not energy.
But it's because God isn't real. But sure.
That's just your assertion.
It's not an assertion. I've already explained it. That God, exists nowhere for no amount of time and is made of no thing. Which is, I mean, if something doesn't exist, I think all of us here could agree that it will exist nowhere. It will exist for no amount of time, and it will be made of nothing. Well, that's exactly what you would define God as numerous times. Therefore, God is something that's non-existent. There's no way for you to differentiate between God being real under that definition and God being not real under that definition. You define God as non-existent.
No, I love God, but we're wrapping up here.
Are we?
The full color
I thought
spectrum.
this was our show. Okay, Philip. If you want to wrap it up, then that's absolutely fine by me, because I'll be completely honest with you. This has been like watching Stephen Hawking debate the guy from Deliverance that plays the banjo.
But I'm just reiterating my opener.
From your second sentence, yeah, we've got that.
No, not from the second sentence.
No, well,
so
I'm shocked.
Hang on, sir.
Okay.
The full color spectrum. The full color spectrum originates from the eternal fire.
What is the eternal fire?
Fire was. Yeah, I'm getting to that. So the fire consists of the full color spectrum as well. So Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So and then the fire, Matthew chapter 25 verse 41. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels."
Wait.
So to give you an illustration before we finish, is that color is light, vice versa.
Well, no, so not all light is color.
Colors originate to identify. So hang on. So light consists of color, and those colors originate from the eternal fire, which has the full color spectrum.
Light are just different frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. Gamma ray doesn't have a color, at least to us, because our eyes can't perceive it, so we wouldn't know what it looks like. Same with X-rays, same with infrared, same with radio waves, same with microwaves. So yeah, it seems that you think that the electromagnetic spectrum is just the colors. It's not.
We're talking about the origin.
So the origin of light is the energy at which electromagnetic radiation is propagating. So if you have a wavelength, you would have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That wavelength gets shorter and higher energy the higher up you go, and then you have ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray. This is really
because you're combining the three primary colors.
No, that's not. No, you don't need to combine other colors to get a different color in terms of electromagnetic. In paint, you can do that with paint, yes, but you don't do that with actual light. The different colors are different frequencies at which that radiation propagates.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the origin. So the origin of these colors
is the frequency at which the light is propagating. So green is a higher frequency than red. So the reason you have green is because if you look at something and it's green, that's because that light that is being reflected off that object is entering your eye at a particular wavelength that your brain interprets as what we call green. The color originates from the energy level of the electromagnetic radiation that your eye is receiving. Has nothing to do with fire.
Guys, I'm going to just interrupt you time-wise. Sorry to both of you. I do apologise to both of you for interrupting. It is time to go to the questions. Leo, we're going to keep you on for the questions, Leo, because I'm looking forward. I think you're going to get a lot of technical questions to answer. I'm really interested in that. Philip, I've got to say you've been highly entertaining. You've been, I think, for for a bit of a poll, I think you've been very polite, and I think you've not been too. But I think you were busted a long time ago. But I'm sure I will speak to you in Jem's voice chat at some point in the future, and we can have a laugh about this. But moving forward, we are going to remove you from the call, Philip. I think Creaky's going to beat you down. But Philip, thank you for being polite. It's been nice to meet you.
Okay, so there's no questions for me. Okay, that's
well. Yep. It was about Gem Panda. That was the question, but we didn't get an answer.
Okay,
well, I will see you on his Discord server another time. See you, Philip.
Sorry, can I just ask?
No, you can't.
Cylinder Earth. That's just totally based.
Well. The story of three wells.
I do recognise that guy's voice, and he's 100% someone I've heard on. Gem Panda is a guy that has a Discord where people debate flat Earth, and he's a flat earther on that Discord, which is fine. No problem with him wanting to be a flat earther, but I think he's just come on for a bit of trolling, really. I think that's what it was. I think it was pretty clear early on that he was either stoned or it was a bit of a pose. So,
well, whatever he was stoned on, somebody needs to get a hold of it and send it my way, because, whoo, boy, I'll tell you what.
I know.
But you were absolutely fantastic. You know what? I mean, I've never seen you debate before, but I'd love to get you back on here again against somebody else. Your knowledge is, so articulate. Really, 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 really impressed. So I'm sure there'll be people. I mean, we can have a chat about some of the claims that your opponent made. Is there anything you want to say?
I would have been nice if we could have actually gotten into cosmogony and how God supposedly brought the universe into existence, especially when to bring something into existence theists always say, well, something can't come from nothing, but apparently God can make something come from nothing, which what did he act on to make the universe? Because if he didn't act on anything to make the universe, then he acted on nothing. If he acted on nothing, then he wasn't in a state of action at all. If he wasn't in a state of action at all, then he wasn't in a state of creation, which is a state of action. So, I mean, it's just the whole idea of God creating the universe straightforwardly doesn't even make sense. But I like how I explained what the expansion of space-time is, and that went so far over his head that I'm sure it took out 3 satellites at the same time. Shapes, therefore the universe is finite, therefore God is just a massive non sequitur. So it seemed like his argument literally was, well, we have shapes, so God exists. There's light, so God exists. The origin of colors is, like I said, just the frequency at which light or electromagnetic radiation propagates. I was going to try to get into where electromagnetic radiation comes from, which is, well, the kind of a little quantum mechanic-y here. It results from the electromagnetic field, and the waves, because it's not like a literal wave, it's probabilistic waves that propagate through that can be quantized into what we call a photon.
But could you refute his second sentence?
That the universe is finite?
This is what he kept going. I'm joking.
I was going to say, I see, we don't know. The universe probably isn't see, but this gets it gets a little hairy, because when we talk about the physical structure of space-time and of the universe, it's very non-intuitive to think about. So when we say that the universe is flat, we don't mean it's like a little piece of paper or something. We're talking about the geometric structure, and it tends to go over some people's heads because, like I said, it's just very non-intuitive. It's hard to kind of conceptualize what exactly is being talked about, what is being meant by what is being talked about. And I kind of think that was definitely demonstrated here with my interlocutor. All respect to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he was a nice guy. He was very pleasant, He's not come on to be unpleasant at all. Creaky, could you?
I'm still here.
What do you think of Philip's second sentence?
It was very interesting indeed. Well, clearly it was interesting to Philip because he went back to it so many times. He just didn't seem to have the ability to answer any questions, which is why I kept saying yes or no. Anybody can answer a yes/no question, surely. It's the clue is in the name, isn't it? was he a Poe? Yes or no? There's no other options.
But things. I mean, I don't know. Like, I understand if he was a genuine. Well, I think he is a flat earther, but if he's a genuine flat earther, but he wants to keep that out of a debate when he's talking about God, that's fine. I can see how he wouldn't want the two to be conflated. He wants to stick on topic. That's absolutely fine with that. But like I tried to explain to him, how can you be a flat earther, right, and not believe that space exists, not believe that there's anything outside the dome, but then have a debate about expansion of the universe, etc., as if you believe in the universe? And that was the dissonance I was trying to get.
That brings up another interesting point, because I kept asking him, does space-time exist? He kept wanting to focus on specifically space, which, you know, we can say space, but if you ever hear a professional or anybody that has a solid understanding of this, what we really mean is space-time, because as special relativity showed us, we can't really think of those two things as separate. So, and then I kept asking, well, so what is expanding? Space-time would be the proper answer. And he said, the universe. Okay, well then what is the universe? Again, space-time and its contents would be the answer to that. Well, the universe is God. It was just nothing but head over heels circular argument.
Definitely, yeah. I don't know. Someone in the chat just says they think Philip might have been streaming from his side. Have be having us on, which is
that's fine. It's up to them, isn't it?
That's absolutely fine. But we rumbled him. We got him. So there we go. Did we? I noticed a couple of super chats come through. They've not addressed. They were probably questions for Philip, but he's gone. So maybe Leo can answer them.
I can try my darndest.
$10 US from Jim Vazella. Opening opinions. Belief in a deity was important for structuring the base morality of society, but in this modern age, society has morally eclipsed the religions. So that's more of a statement than a question, isn't it?
A statement I would definitely agree with.
£20 from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Adam. Thank you, kind sir. If you believe in God, what holds more truth? Words of the leptons, the quarks, the atoms that you can observe in the cloud chamber, words in the stars, the galaxies. God, reality has no obligation to conform to our beliefs even. I didn't even understand the question, if I'm being honest. Thanks for the 20 quid,
Neither
though.
did I.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't as well. Because I was saying to Catz on, because we chat in the background whilst the people are debating, and you were making me feel really dumb, but it was being nicely balanced out by Philip making me feel really smart, so I was on a nice even keel. €2 from Web Beard. Does the universe have a dome, Philip?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh dear. Even if he was a Poe, though, Catz, we didn't fall for it as hard as we fall for a 14-year-old boy screaming penis into his webcam, did we? It hasn't matched that yet.
It's not. We managed to get away with it.
Yeah, I think.
But
so.
At least he was friendly enough. But he definitely 100%. I've heard him on Gem Panda's Discord a few times.
Yeah. Does he always?
Which is
sound
fine.
like that,
he can be a flat earther, but is what? Sorry.
Does he always sound like that, or did he get extra buzzed just for our benefit?
No, he always sounds like that. In fact, while the debate was going on, I went into Gem Panda's Discord. So if anyone was thinking I was being rude, looking on my phone, it was research for the debate, high IQ research. And I went into Gem Panda's Discord, and somebody had already posted a link to our debate saying, anybody recognize a familiar voice on the agree to disagree debates tonight. So I couldn't quite get to the bottom of who he was.
Oh, dear.
Fair enough. But Leo, if you were to come back on, which we'd love to have you back on, what would your favourite topic be? What would you like to debate?
Anything that's not really, really dumb. So I like to focus more on like physics and astronomy and God and stuff like that. That's my area. I'm fairly well versed in the area of, like, say, abiogenesis versus intelligent design, or evolution versus creation, flat Earth versus globe Earth, things like that. Climate contrarianism would be another one. Are humans causing climate change? Because yes, obviously they are.
All right. Well, anybody in the chat who's watching that wants to take Leo on, obviously he's extremely intelligent and articulate. I wouldn't want to debate you, I'll be honest. It's not so often I say something like that. Jut the monk drunky, Jut the bloody hell. What am I trying to say, Creaky?
The drunk monkey.
Jut the drunk monkey. He wants to debate you on beer. So
on beer. I mean, I like beer, so I prefer heavier beers over lighter beers.
What would you describe as a heavy beer?
Like 7% or higher, and 7% is still kind of on the low side, but
Oh, I was going to say one that you needed two hands to pick up, but there we go. Shows what I know.
You're not a Carlsberg man then?
I don't think I know what that is. No, I mean, here in the United States, like if I buy something domestic, I'll buy Budweiser, which is 5%, which is still light to me. Like a good dark beer to me is like a stout, so something that's like 9% to 13, 14%. Those are pretty good.
I bet they are. I bet by the time you get to the bottom of a pint glass of those.
Oh yeah.
I bet you'll be talking about infinite shapes.
Catz Webbeard in the side chat would like to debate Leo about the importance of having a second question.
Oh, brilliant. I'm just going to check the community page I put up, see if there's any questions there. There were some posts, but they were all for Philip before we booted him. So let's have a look.
I can only imagine.
Craven Mordick says, Philip avoids answering questions, so we should consider a career in politics. Simon says, what shape is universe, Philip? Lonely V says, why are you like this? Which I think is probably the best question. Craven Mordick. I'm hogging all the statements here because not questions. I'm sorry,
I haven't even got the community tab open. Catz, I lost the will to live at about 20-8.
Well, I'll keep going. Craven Mordick again says, can I get some ranch for all that word salad Philip served up? Tienstra78 says, I just want to know what he's on. Craven Mordick again says, so Philip's evidence is a book, says things. Cool story, bro. Yeah. I liked his evidence that God exists because shapes are real.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, somewhere he's got people laughing along with him. He's sat there now having a right old laugh.
I did want to say, one of the things I did pick up on, like I thought that he might try to argue, was sort of because he'd mentioned like light and shapes and stuff like that. So I think I was thinking, is this guy going to try to go down like the universe is a simulation and it was programmed by God, therefore God exists route? I thought that might be kind of something he would try to do. What he did do was totally not what I was expecting.
I don't think any of us were expecting it. This is what his argument sounded like to me. So he basically came on, minus the camera, and said, if an elephant sat on your garden fence on a Tuesday in June, how long is a piece of string? And that was basically his argument, or at least that's what I heard. What I just said probably made more sense than anything Philip said, but what do I know?
Well, if you remember right at the very beginning of the debate, he thought he was debating you, didn't he, Creaky?
Yeah.
And he
That's probably why he agreed to do it. He was like, oh no, it's not the stupid one.
Well, he originally emailed me on the Conspiracy Cats email, asking if I was an atheist to debate me on it. So I think he's planned like the whole let's troll him, and he's not realised that we actually have a debate channel, and that's what he's ended up on. I think he thought he was going to end up on Conspiracy Cats debating, ultimately you, because your name's on the email that went back to him. Yeah. So I think he's been very surprised tonight to see that.
I can't debate anybody. I can barely keep my patience as a moderator, let alone debating somebody.
I tried my hardest to keep my cool. There was a second there where I was just like, Jesus, I've been over this like 5 times already. What are you not getting?
I could see that you were starting to ever so slightly lose it a little.
Yeah, I tried to not go full R and Raw on him. You guys know who that is, which I'm sure you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And again, I apologize, and I'm addressing the viewers. I apologize for my unprofessional conduct. It's the first time I have ever burst out laughing during a debate, but I tried not to. I really did. I really did, but yeah.
Well, he was deliberately trolling, so that's fair enough.
So maybe I don't need to feel bad.
No. Well, I apologise, people. I should screen the debatees a little bit more thoroughly, but or maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, what can you do?
Exactly. Exactly. It's 2 hours of your life you're never getting back, Leo.
Well, I did enjoy it. You guys made it a lot of fun, so.
Thank you.
You did. Oh, excuse me. Holy hell! What was that?
I keep wondering why the hell are you guys yawning? But I'm pretty sure it's 9:49 where you guys are at.
8:49.
Okay.
Yeah, our clocks went back last week.
Oh yeah, so you guys already. Okay, yep.
But yep. It's getting
That's
late.
a dirty trick, isn't it? Making us put our clocks back. The last thing we need is another hour of 2020.
So I did. There is a question I saw here from Web Bard. Any chance Leo likes pastry stouts? I have had a couple of them. I had one, and this kind of plays into the second question. Favorite brewery? Right now, I would probably have to say my favorite brewery is it's in the United States. It's out of why am I drawing? Kansas City, What? One of the Kansas cities. I think it's Kansas City. I think it's KCKS, Kansas City, Kansas. But it's called Boulevard Brewing Company. Anybody that probably lives in the Midwestern United States has probably seen them or heard of them. They had one that's limited release called Brandyland, and that one is very sweet, very rich. That's definitely a sipping stout, and it's really good. I've had a cherry chocolate stout from, if Shannon Q is in the chat, because she lives in Canada, she might know this brewery, Stack Brewing Company. They do the Puppers Lager that is frequented the Letterkenny Problems show, if anybody knows that. That's pretty good. I think that's only like an 8 or a 9%. It's a little on the lower side for a stout, but I liked it. It was pretty good. So yeah, pastry stouts, I like them. It just, it depends on what it is, but yeah, I do like pastry stouts, and right now anyway, my favorite brewery would probably be Boulevard Brewing Company.
Never heard of pastry stouts before. Never heard of that.
They're the ones that are like a cherry chocolate stout or like a chocolate cinnamon stout or something like that have that pastry sound to them.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've not seen anything like that over here, but I'm just a simple lager man. Just like give me a nice lager, like Carling or Carlsberg, the drink of kings.
Whichever one's on offer in Tesco's, yeah?
Yeah, the one's on offer. Or Aldi. That's right. What do you drink there, Creaky? When you have
I barely drink. Once in a blue moon, I'll have a drink. I'm just slowly killing myself via Pepsi Max.
Yeah, Pepsi can get quite addictive, that, can't it? 50 cans a week could possibly be considered to be an addiction. But I worked for them for 10 years, so I had an in-house supply. So I blame PepsiCo.
That's almost like just twisting your leg at that point. Like, sure, I'll take another case home. I mean, you gave me one yesterday, but hey, if you insist.
What started it off was we were running a promotion and we were given 100 cases.
Holy shit.
I threw 20 of them in my garage and used the other 80. And I'm sure it just started from there. But I buy a case of 24 twice a week. So it's a problem.
Yeah, well, thing is, lots of worse things to be hung up on, aren't there? So,
yeah,
like you could be on whatever Philip was having.
Yeah,
I could be what?
You could have been stuck on whatever Philip was having.
I wonder if it makes you fat. I'm gonna have to speak to him.
Oh my word! Well, I don't know where we go now.
I know.
Almost there. What's the? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
We're up to date with the super chats. Like I say, I lost the will to live at about 20-8. Leo has demonstrated incredible patience.
Well done, Leo.
I feel like I kind of owe Leo an apology, if I'm being honest.
No, you're good. If you guys do have like another half an hour or longer. There is a theist that I know quite well that I don't know if you guys will. He tends to come into the comment sections on theist versus atheist, God versus, not God debates. Otangelo Grasso, does that name ring a bell?
Go on, give me that name again.
Otangelo. In the last
he's in the chat now, yeah.
Yeah. He said he's in the mood to have a chat with me, but you guys run the channel, so I can't make that decision.
It's going to be like me, but I would love to set that up for if you want to. I'm just going to put the. I'll just tag you in, or
if he's okay with it. I've debated him twice already on Modern Day Debate on, firstly, the fine-tuning of the universe, and then the second one was abiogenesis versus intelligent design. If he would be willing to have a debate on cosmology, because he is going to have the discussion between me and him on that would go infinitely further. Oh, dare I go using that word infinite again. Infinitely further than this discussion could have ever hoped to go with Philip.
To be honest with you, we're not bothered about it going infinitely further. As long as it gets past the second sentence, Catz and I would be more than happy.
Otangelo is a much, much more intellectually stimulating interlocutor than Philip is. I can tell you that much. And he's a respectful guy. I'll give that.
So not a window licker then.
No, not at all.
So he's I think he's left because he's not coming up under autocomplete. So I think he's left the chat anyway. But if you do see him about, he's more than welcome to have him on another time and do a debate.
He does have an email. If I can find it here, I can't remember the name of it.
You pop it me on Twitter. I'll email him out.
Yeah.
With you. I'll CC you both, and we'll have like a joint email and see if we can get something sorted. Because I would love to get you back on again. Definitely would.
He just said I am here in the chat.
It's not coming up on autocomplete. What am I? Oh, it's because I can't spell. I'm typing "or," it's not "ot."
Yeah, OTAN. There you go.
Yeah, I was doing AR. So sorry, man. So this is our email address. If you want to come on, you're more than welcome anytime, buddy. And Digital Demonic Davros wants to debate me. I don't know what he wants to debate me on, but feel free to hit me up, mate, and we'll sort something out. But yeah, I'm just going to shell out what we've got coming in the next couple of weeks. We do have a flat Earth debate next week. Then we have a debate on Antifa the week after. We have.
I did want to let you guys know I'm down for political debates. I'm a market socialist, a libertarian socialist, a lot like Vosh. So if you guys ever want some like socialism versus capitalism debates, I'm your socialist.
Fantastic. Right, we'll have you. We'll have you back loads of times. Yeah, so that's what we've got coming up. And that's it. Anything you want to shill out, Creaky?
Probably. Yeah, I've got a super secret collaboration video coming out on Friday. All I've got to do is record it before Friday. So
super secret collaboration.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right. Well, I guess it just leaves to say, Leo, thank you very much for coming on, and I apologise. Right. We were trolled a little bit there, but at least it's connected us, and we'll get you back on here several times. I thought you did fantastic, so thank you.
Thank you. Could I show my channel just for anybody that wasn't here at the beginning of the debate? Would that be all right?
You can, and I'll also tweet it out as well after we're done.
Right on. I am Leo Filius. I don't know if my name is actually displayed on the screen. I don't think it is, but it's LeoPhiilius. I actually can be found with a YouTube search now, so subscribe to my channel. I don't have any of my own content up yet because I have a meeting with a friend this Friday. I've got to get a little bit more familiarized with OBS Studio, and then I should be producing some content because I don't want to just jump in with cold feet, I think is how the phrase goes. I actually want to understand the platforms I'm going to be using, but I will be doing science education and science communication with a focus on advanced aspects of astrophysics, cosmology, and quantum mechanics. A little bit of talk about agriculture as well, because I was born and raised in rural Iowa, so I know agriculture quite well. Busting creationism and intelligent design, and other idiots who think that the climate isn't changing and that vaccines cause autism and that GMOs cause cancer, and so does 5G, as well as a little bit of political talk on why I think left-wing politics is the way to go, and why I think socialism would be a better option. That I should specify, market socialism would be a better option than our somewhat feudalistic capitalistic structure. You can also find me on Twitter at Leophilius, spelled the same way, Leophilius. So feel free to subscribe and give me a follow on Twitter. Lots of interesting content is going to be coming in within the month of November.
Well, I've just put the link to your channel in the chat while you were speaking there, so hopefully people can click on it now.
Lord, Jim Verzella just said in the chat, "Oh, you're in Iowa. I'll send you Boulevard if you send me Yangling." We don't actually have Yangling here in Iowa, but I do have a buddy whose dad does. He travels sometimes, and when he does, if he's in a state, he buys literally sometimes 20 cases of Yangling at a time because we drink the shit out of it. It's a really good beer. And then when I say we, I mean that we got a large group, so that's why we buy so much. It's not that we're raging alcoholics, but shit, if I ever get my hands on some, shoot me an email on Twitter if you give me a follow or something, or send me a DM, and yeah, I could probably get a case your way. I couldn't tell you when, but I'm sure I could.
Right. Cool. Fantastic. Well, on that note, what do you say we wrap things up, Creaky?
Why not? Why not, indeed? If it does happen to be your first time here, I'm really sorry. I just can't think of anything else to say. And I wish I could say that next week's debate will be much more sensible, but it's a flat earth debate, so it probably won't. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.